Yes, we can.
Great.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hey everyone, let's begin the session. I am Sakshi from the Value Creation team at MBA and Beyond, and also your host for the night. With me, I have extremely talented Pooja and Sangeeta. And what we can do is maybe Pooja, you can start with an introduction, and then Sangeeta, you can take over.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sakshi. So, everybody, pleasure to be here. I am one of MBA and Beyond's clients. I work with them. I have been working them for the past 6 months for my MBA journey. A little bit about myself. I am an undergrad. I did my engineering in biotechnology, and I have 8 years of experience in healthcare, IT, consulting, and advisory. I have spent 6 years with Gartner, and before that, I was with Bain and Company for 2 years. Right now, I'm working out of Sydney with a boutique consulting firm called Adapt. And my goal with an MBA was really to shift from digital health, healthcare, IT consulting, and move into digital health product management, product development. And I applied to 5 colleges with MBA and beyond. So far, I have admits for 3 colleges. Some of them are still, I'm waiting to hear from them. And Sakshi's team has really helped me to get through my dream school, which was Johns Hopkins Carey Business School, which is my focus, that I want to work more closely with clinicians and healthcare experts in order to change the way healthcare products are designed and consumed today. I hope that helps. Sangeeta,
Sangeeta.
to you.
Yeah. Hi. Can you see me?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I'm Sangeeta. I'm one of the consultants in MBA and Beyond, and we've helped students get to their dream colleges. I think a prime example is Pooja, who was in healthcare, and she's got an amazing admit record. We try to bring out the narrative that suits you best, and have a construct an essay that showcases all of your qualities of successes and, more importantly, potential to get into the colleges that you want. We help you through the process of selection and showcasing your ability through many steps that we have in MBA and Beyond. That sort of facilitates, instead of having a larger, oh, I want to go there and this is why I want to do my MBA. So we have very structured approach to the entire program. And I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
Great. Thank you, Sangeeta. Yeah, we can begin session now. We have some, details that I want to share with people who are planning to apply to Jan 25 intake. So guys, if you're someone who is planning to apply to the top European B schools, and if you're thinking that the essays are going to be done in the next 15 days or, 15 days before the deadlines, let me tell you, European applications is totally different from US schools. Like if you can see, INSEAD's intake deadline is pretty close in the next 40 days. And the deadlines, are also pretty close for HEC. And also, let me tell you, like the application for INSEAD and HEC, which are very tough and a long application, it doesn't take 15 days easily. So it's best that you can start now. Reiterating that again, that you should start with your applications because it takes around 50 to 20 days just to build your anecdote and get stories out of you. So yeah, if you're someone planning to apply to Jan 25 intake, better start today. Moving on to the session, guys, we have some questions that we would like to take. So let me just start with the session. Yeah. So the first question that we have is, guys, if we'll take some questions that we have received already, and towards the end, we'll take the questions that you have entered in the chat box. So Pooja, Sangeeta, the first question that we have is from an applicant, which is, would you share some tips on the HBS and GSB essays, specifically choosing the right stories to tell? That is, what are considered good stories examples and what is bad stories? Maybe Sangeeta, if you can take it ahead.
Yeah, okay. So for Stanford, I think they have two questions which are not really particularly why MBA. It is like what matters to you. So it's value driven, and the other question is why Stanford. And the HBS is one long essay in whatever you want to write. They say, okay, what would you like us to know? So both of them are very broad questions, but it's like showcasing your story should be driven by you. So when you write the essay, imagine that you have split it into 5 parts. It is why you, why now, what made you, like, why now MBA? What are you going to do with that MBA? Why did you choose this college? And what will make us select you? That's part of why you. So you want to address all of these 5 factors into the essay, whatever the questions that they've asked. So if they say what matters to you, it's a value-driven question. I would say, like, you start with your values. In general, the way you structure your essay is start with your destination, say what you want to do in the end, and then help them visualize how you're going to get there and how the MBA is going to help. And that's what I would say. Try not to overthink what they would expect, but be genuine and express all your success stories, but also how you learn from your failures. And that's why the success is so significant. It's not just in paper. Add as much detailed stories, characters, hard facts to support what you're saying. It's basically show, not tell.
Got it. Pooja, anything that you want to add?
So I think one thing that I realized after I started working with MBA and beyond was that you really have to be very genuine and authentic about about your story. Okay. Uh, yes, you may match the initial criteria. That this is your score, this is your GPA, this is your work X. Check, check, check. But you have to understand there are a lot of other people applying who are also checking that box. Okay. So the person who is reading your essay should be able to visualize what you are saying. At the same time, they should be compelled when they read your essay and go like, you know what, this is a strong candidate, they are genuine, this is a story, and I think we should support this person in their vision or mission, whatever they have. So I think being genuine and doing that introspection is very important. The second thing that I'll highlight is you have to touch base on the aspect of what's bigger than you. Okay, so for example, I want to do healthcare product management. Why? Okay. Is it because that I have worked in healthcare consulting and I think it's a good shift for me? No. Is it because I want to become an entrepreneur and make a lot of money? No. So what's bigger than you? Like, what's driving you to do healthcare product management? Is it because living in India, the state of our healthcare that I have seen during COVID, I know how much healthcare inequity we have in our country, right? I know how many rural areas are there and people don't have access to very basic care. So what is that value? What is that thing that's driving you to pivot your career? I think that's very important. And I think the third thing that I'll highlight is your research. Like, why do you want to join this college? Now, there are various stages to that, okay? You can say it's the curriculum. You can even take a step up. There are certain professors. What I did was curriculum, certain professors, what projects the professors are working on, who are the alumni who have passed from there, what startups or products have those alumni created, how well those products are doing commercially and making impact in the industry, what's their valuation, how much those companies have grown, what is their client base. So you have to do a lot of research so that the college understands how serious you are about and how well integrated you are when it comes to knowing what's happening in the college, what projects they are working on. So I think that research really, takes it a notch up to showcase your real interest. So these are the 3 things I'll highlight.
Got it. Thanks, Pooja. I think that was pretty insightful. We have the next question, which is around, about the schools. That is, how to shortlist schools for an MBA.
Okay. I think, shall I go first? Yeah, okay. So I think to shortlist schools, we have a process which is called the content gathering. So initially we ask you to fill up all the details over there. And then we see a profile fit. For example, when we worked with Pooja, we found that the healthcare was a big, it was a driver of where she wants to go. It was a sector. It was also like the passion with which you want to go further. The long-term goals, do they match? And then you look at the universities in terms of, I would pick out generally how do you select would be based first with your long-term goal, and it fits in with what you most want to know. And you are going to invest that much of time and money, so you want to be very specific about, you don't want to get into the first college that you give you an admit. We are very thorough in researching whether it's worth it for you, okay, and what is your ROI on it. I would say some of the factors that you should take into account is your work ex, and your all data is available on the university website about the kind of cohort that they have, which industries are there. So some universities are very they have programs on supply chain management, for example, or some are in pharma, like Ross, I think, is on sustainability. So there are many colleges that focus on a particular branch. So you want to be prepared, or you want to fit into that category. So I think the fit is very, very important. And yes, the ranking definitely counts. And we do a thorough research on that. There is also a culture that you're going to join. What kind of classmates will you have? Will they have 10 years work ex or 2 years work ex? How much work experience do you have versus what they expect? So you do not want to apply for an HBS program with a 9-month work ex. So these are some of the factors. Okay, and some of the applicants come with a very specific ask that I don't want to take the GMAT. Then you're looking only at colleges that give you a GMAT paper, or you're on a borderline. Let's say you have a score of 700, but these schools require at least a 740. So you want to be able, when you select colleges, that you're going to whether you're going to take your GMAT again or not. So GMAT scores are definitely one of the driving factors. Although some of the colleges say that they don't accept the GMAT, I think we've seen that it reflects what kind of colleges you get into. So yes, and some applicants say that I want to do a 1-year MBA, which means we have options in Europe, HEC, INSEAD. So you need to have those things sorted out for yourself, and then we'll work with the what kind of experience you have, and then showcase it. I think when you select the college, you should really personally look at the ROI on it. Yep.
Anything that you want to add?
I think Sangeeta covered most of it very well. I think the only thing that I'll highlight is have good clarity on your end goal. So let's say if you want to be a product manager, look at the curriculum. Uh, is the curriculum focusing on product commercialization, product valuation? So do that check. I think things like whether you qualify, looking at all the metrics, whether you fulfill them, I think that's very basic. You all will have to do it. If you have a location preference, so for example, if I look at a lot of health tech or pharma companies, a lot of them are in Boston or California. So if you have a location preference, you can definitely pick that. I think one very important aspect is the cohort, and I think Sangeeta covered it really well, because let's see, I'm going to an MBA program with 8 years of work experience. Okay, I don't want to be the only person in that room with that much years of work experience, because I should be able to add value to my peers as well as gain value from them. So look at those statistics which talk about your cohort size, what the performance is of the cohort. And I think the other thing that I'll add is, and this is from a very practical point of view, like, so we all are aware of the macroeconomic environment that's going on right now, okay? And I think scholarship is an aspect which a lot of people undermine when they are applying because they're so focused on getting into the dream school. But be a little practical on your approach. Look at things like ROI. Look at colleges which can give you a better support financially. So at Johns Hopkins, I'm getting a 90% scholarship. And I also had scholarship from Texas McCombs, Rice Jones. But there's a reason I'm selecting Johns Hopkins because I'm sponsoring my MBA all by myself. Okay, so I want to be in a position that, once I move there, and I personally, because I'm doing it myself, I don't want to be under a big debt. So these are the factors which at some point will influence your decision. So be aware of them and take them into your consideration. That's what I'd say.
I think if you can, Pooja, add your own journey of selection of schools. And then I think the further selection is like once I've got the admits and once I've got the scholarships, how do I select? I think that would give them an insight on what works.
Absolutely. So, in my case, I was very focused. If I have to start from geography, I have worked with a lot of US clients, US tech vendors. I know I can build upon those contacts after my MBA. So, US was my preferred location. Okay. Now, in terms of schools, we actually created a list of 7 schools. So, 3 of them were my dream schools, some of them were medium, and some of them were safe. I think that's one of the approach that MBA and beyond will take you through. Okay, and accordingly you work on your application and target your timelines for those schools. I think for me, what I did in my case was, before applying, even before the applications were open, I actually scheduled 101s with admission team members of all schools. Okay, because I wanted to, because what you see on the website, what you see on the report, it's certain information, but you want to have a one-on-one conversation that this is what my goal is, this is what I want to do. uh, is your college really in this direction? So for example, Rice Jones, they have a lot of students are there from multiple sector. They do have some students who specialize in healthcare, but they are not the center for healthcare. They're very focused on oil and gas, finance. So I knew that, okay, I want to be very much into healthcare, so I'm going to put it at a second or a third number in my prioritization list. So that's important. And yeah, I think the other thing is how well your story also connects with what the college is looking for. So when I was talking to the admission team members, I asked them this question, like, what are the 3 things you really need in your applicants? Like, what is something that really makes a candidate stand out? And I asked this question very upfront to them. Some of them said, we want candidates who are really collaborative. So I knew that for those essays, I want to focus on the collaboration aspect. Some colleges said, oh, we want candidates who are very good with quantitative skills. Okay, so for those essays, I have a lot of quantitative research background. So for those colleges, I worked on highlighting those skills. So you'll have to do this pre-work to understand what is the college looking for, and really hone your application according to that. So that's what I'll say was my approach when applying to colleges.
I think a question just came up. Even if you can't get a one-on-one session with the university, you can always join their admission sessions. And I think those are very, very important, and it are the 3 most important things to them, which you can ask even in a joint session. You don't need a one-on-one for that, and they will answer you. The other thing about joining admission sessions is, if you want to ask for a scholarship, if you want to ask for a fee waiver, if you want to ask for a GMAT waiver, everything happens on those sessions. So I strongly suggest, and so does Pooja, that it really works for you to know more about the university, like not just from the website.
Thanks. for the answer. I think someone has asked if INSEAD, HSC, and Harvard avail one-on-one sessions. So guys, what you can do is just drop them an email, connect with them, and tell them that you want to get on a call, and they will surely reach out for sure. They are pretty helpful in that case. Yeah, and we can take on the next question, which is, what strategies do you recommend to answer the why MBA essay prompt?
Sorry?
It's what strategies do you recommend to answer
For
the why
why
MBA
MBA?
essay prompt? Yeah.
Okay. In fact, we work on this why MBA. When you start your story, I have this thing that start with your destination. Start with why you start with your long-term goals. Start with your values. Like Pooja said, she started with this possibility of doing helping the healthcare system be more systematic and adding value to the health system which already exists. Okay, and it's very much in need of that. So even whatever the question is, like when you say why MBA, I want to know why MBA, but I don't want to start from chronologically, like I have experience in this, and then I worked in this, and then I realized this. I think instead of that, you start with the destination so they have an idea of what you're building up. Okay, so I think that's the most, it really helps the reader understand what you're saying about the why MBA. If I start with, I want to do my MBA because I want to learn finance, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't connect the dots. So I feel very strongly about this. And start with your long-term goals, start with your value system, start with what you want to do, and then you build it up. So that's the first thing I would say. The second part of the why MBA would be, what are the events that drove you to realize that, oh, I want to apply for an MBA? So it would be a point in your career where you decided that, oh, I want to know more. I know I have the potential to create more. And what was this event? So it would be really nice to showcase that why MBA question with a narrative that drove you to choose an MBA as a pathway to building your long-term goals. Okay. Include, when you're talking about your long-term goals, also include the importance of opportunity over there. It's not like I just want to do it, but why is it important for me to do it? Like in Pooja's case, there is a lacuna in that sector, the last mile delivery of healthcare, the record systems, the data available is so fragmented. So there are lots of things that that need looking into, and you can do it only as a like she said, it's like, what's the big picture? Okay, you can do it once you visualize that big picture. So I have, like, some of the students are engineers or architects, and they're looking at why MBA. So what point in their career did they realize that, okay, this is going to give me an opportunity to get to a better platform so I can get to my goal? So that's the second part of the why MBA. The third part is, what exactly in the MBA program will help you most? Is it connecting? And you can have a few of them. So some of the applicants write very much about just networking, but that's not enough, because MBA is an academic program. So within the academic system, what is it that will help you? Is it the supply chain that you're looking at? Is it negotiations? Is it marketing? Are you looking for a particular market segment? Is it the realization that I can work with a budget that's given to me, but I can't look at acquisitions and mergers, stuff like that? So I want to get into the details of the academic program, and then you can add to it with industry connects that the university has, and the benefit that the cohort and the alums will give you in the future. So that would be my take. Start with the destination, know exactly why you're doing your MBA, convey that with a narrative, and be aware that they would look for things like what Pooja says, like, which research are you interested in, which professor or which course excites you, What can you bring to the program? So all of that can come into YMBA. Pooja.
That's fantastic. I the only thing that I'll add to it is, and I'll share from my experience. So most of the YMBA questions, you will have to talk about your short-term goal and your long-term goal. Okay. Now, my advice would be as specific as you can. In my MBA essays, I wrote, I want to be a product manager at XYZ company doing XYZ responsibilities. Okay, so in XYZ region, so I said I want to work for Amazon Health, Google Health, do product management. These will be my roles and responsibility. I want to launch AI in imaging products from their cloud platform in India because early disease diagnostics is not a very prominent healthcare service in India. Okay, so be as specific as you want. They want to, the admission teams wants how clear you are on the end goal that you want. Okay, so I'll say being specific is very important. The other thing is whatever you're doing, whatever your goal is, and this is the point that I covered in the past. What's bigger than you? How is it addressing what's happening in the market right now? So, for example, let's say AWS, Microsoft, they have all these cloud platforms for healthcare. And you can go and build really fancy applications in these platforms. But the thing is, people who are developing these applications are IT people. People who are consuming these applications are clinicians. Okay. So these two people who are users have very different backgrounds, expectations, digital literacy, right? So I want to address the gap that I want to create solutions which are very easy to use, which have a better UI UX for the clinicians. I don't want to create fancy dashboarding mobile applications. Okay. So that way you are addressing the gap. Like what different are you going to do which is not already happening in the market? Okay. Um, and I think the third thing that Sangeeta covered was yes, you have to be very specific on what courses there are in the curriculum that really excites you, which can basically help upskill you. So let's say I don't have a lot of experience when it comes to venture capital product evaluation. That is not something that I have done. But with an MBA program that focuses on experiential learning, right, which gives you opportunities to work with VC partners, do your pitches, I will be able to gain that experience and use it for my long-term goal, which is basically to basically found a AI and imaging diagnostic company. Okay, so you have to connect the dots. You have to be as specific as you can be. Let them visualize what you want to do. So that's the only thing I'll add to that.
Got it. Thanks, Pooja. And also to add, guys, I think how Pooja and Sangeeta have explained it, that about YMB, it's just two words, but just introspecting and thinking about it and adding to that takes a lot of time. That itself can take months. So if you're someone targeting R1 September, I would really encourage you guys to start as soon as possible. Start today. It just looks like 2 or 3 essays, but it's a lot of work that goes into. You need to connect with the LMs, and if you're starting MBA and beyond, you also take you through a step called content gathering, which is a very crucial step. And content gathering is something where you need to brainstorm a lot with by yourself and also with your consultant. You need to keep on adding stories. You need to keep on improving stories to get that YMBA perfect, and also many aspects of the applications. So just to add on to that, yeah, and then you have to connect with the alums, the schools, the admissions committee, essays, LORs, resume, a lot of that goes into the application needs to be perfect and well done. So yeah, if you are someone targeting September intake, please start right now. We can take on the next question from the chat box. Also, I think we have a question for you, Pooja, which is in the MBA application journey, is it advantageous to engage with a consultant? If so, could you provide insights and share your personal experiences regarding how working with a consultant aided you in achieving your goals?
Absolutely. So I can tell you from my experience, like there's no way I could have done it alone, and I'll tell you the reasons for that. Okay. I think most of the people who are applying are, if you're working full time, uh, you have your job, you have your MBA applications. In my case, I was doing all of it by myself. I I think 6 months into my new role at Adapt, which is the new organization I've joined, I decided my journey with MBA and beyond. I started my journey 7 months prior to my R1 or early action deadline. Okay, so be very cautious of the deadline. You have to start in advance. So I think I think in this entire journey, you definitely need a partner, a soundboard where you can run your ideas by. Okay. I think first thing is the most important thing with MBA and beyond was their team is very hands-on. Okay. So I know that I'm juggling with work, I'm juggling with 10 different things. I have to travel from one place to the other. But they are so hands-on, they assign one specific team member with you who works with you on your timelines, apart from the consultant who works with you on your timelines, who constantly checks in with you, who makes sure that you are adhering to the timeline you have planned for your entire MBA schedule. It's very important because once you start the journey, time flies by very quickly. Okay. And you know that you are very close to your deadline, and doing those essays at last minute, I do not recommend them. Don't hush into those applications. Do not give an application which is not like 110 120% of what you want to do. The second thing is really getting your story out. So I as an individual will have certain biases when I'm looking at my story, right? And you need that soundboard. You need a third person to tell you, you know what, this is a good strength we can talk about. This is potentially a weakness, but how can we tell your story that this was a weakness and you worked on it, right? So I think a consultant is very, very pivotal in that to help you remove that biasness from your journey. The third thing is introspection, and like I said, bringing your authentic story out. I think you need to have a consultant who can work with you on that. I think MBA and beyond team is very experienced. A lot of the consultants which are there, they have either gone to a lot of schools that you are targeting, or for years they have helped candidates get to those schools. Okay, so the experience and the maturity is very high. I think MBA and beyond team is also, out of all the consultants that I evaluated before I started my journey, they are someone where I saw they have candidates who are very specific to certain sector. Okay, so I was very keen to work with somebody who either has some experience in healthcare or has helped students get into healthcare programs. Okay, I was very clear about it. I don't want to work with somebody who's way much into finance, does not know a lot about healthcare. I'm not sure that person will be able to help me. So that industry experience is something that I think MBA and beyond has if I compare it to other consultants. um the other thing is writing. Now, to be very honest, I think I'm relatively very good at writing because it's a big part of my job. Okay. But I know a lot of people, especially who are into IT or finance sector, maybe writing is, maybe you're very good at narrating or knowing your story, but bringing it to words and writing it and having a structure to it that it's making sense, it's compelling. Maybe it's not something you're very good at doing. Okay. So having a consultant really helps bring your story out. Okay. They'll tell you what to write, what, I don't want to say what to write, they'll just help you communicate your story better. They'll help you understand that don't spend too much time, like Sangeeta said, given the background and admiring the problem. No, just get to the point quickly. And so I think these are few things where you will definitely need a consultant. And I think the overall journey, 6 7 months, it's physically, emotionally exhausting. I can share from my experience it was. And I think you need somebody as a partner sometimes just to talk it out, how you're feeling, how confident you are with your application. Do you think you're putting your best foot forward? Maybe we are not. Let's wait, let's hold on. Okay, let's not apply in early action. Let's spend some more time and target R1. So these are certain decisions you will have to make in your process, and you need somebody who can make these decisions with you, give you advice on these decisions. So I think having a consultant is very, very pivotal. That's what I'd say.
Very well. So guys, we can take the questions from the applicants now. The first question that we have is from, just a sec. Yeah, the first question that we have is from an applicant, which is if one is planning to apply using GMAT waiver, what factors would make a good application?
I can add to that. So every college, if you apply for a GMAT waiver, they have a list of criteria that you have to meet. Okay. Some of them are you need to have a GPA of 3.5 plus, you need to have 5+ years of experience. In your work experience, you should be having a quantitative work experience. If you have a CA or a CPA qualification, then you qualify for a waiver. So waiver criteria are very clear. You have to check through them. The second important thing is many colleges will ask you to write an appeal or an essay to request a waiver. Okay. So there you have to showcase your experience. So um, let's say you have a lot of quantitative experience. Okay, so you need to write your waiver essay highlighting that what quantitative projects you have done, what was the impact of those projects, what skills you have honed, and that's why you are requesting for a waiver. So for waivers there's a checklist, and some colleges will ask you for an essay. Be very cautious. Sometimes colleges will ask you to submit a waiver appeal 15 or 20 days before the R1 deadline. So make sure you have all these things in place, so that you don't miss on your deadline. Because you apply for a waiver, they'll take 10-15 days to get back to you, giving you the status that your waiver is approved or not approved, and then only you can go forward with your application. So yeah, but a lot of colleges are very clear. And the third thing that you can do is you can always talk to colleges. Like I said, the admission committees. You can ask them like, okay, you are interested in a waiver. What is it something that they are looking for? You can even ask, do you think you're going to apply for a waiver? They can give you an answer that we think you can, or maybe you know what, you may qualify right now, but later on we may ask you to give a test like a conditional admit if you don't have a GMAT score. So yeah, you can have these conversations with colleges. The other thing with GMAT waivers is apply as early as possible, because college only wants to give n number of waivers. So if you're targeting waivers, apply in the early action or R1, not later than that. That's what I'd say.
Sangeeta,
Okay.
anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I could add to that. I have two applicants who got in with a GMAT waiver. Both of them did not give a GMAT at all. It's not like they got a lower GMAT score and then they applied. So like Pooja said, you have to start with applying for a waiver. You have to write an essay and start your application way before your applications, beginning your applications. You have to write to them asking for a waiver. Now, what is the GMAT test? The GMAT tests your ability, your quantitative reasoning ability, your verbal reasoning ability, and now we have data insight, which means like, do I deal with, it's basically data, and do I know how to read data? So in your essay, whatever that ask is, and yes, they have different asks, different universities ask for different things, and I'll get to that. So you have in your essay, whatever their criteria is, you have to demonstrate that your quantitative reasoning and verbal reasoning abilities are up to par. And in the way of demonstrating, in both the cases of the applicants, we actually talked about an event at work or what the work they handle, so that it conveys to them their prowess in handling such data, quantitatively and verbal. Like you can say, like, writing analytical reports will tell verbal ability. Okay, but also writing analytical reports would tell them your ability to look at data and connect data. So that's one part of it. So the GMAT waiver, that's the GMAT part. But the other part of it is also that each college has a different criteria for a GMAT waiver. And it's best to check their website on what they concentrate on. If they are looking particularly about these three qualities, that's fine. But also sometimes they ask you, why can't you take your GMAT? And which has to be crafted really authentically, and not like an excuse like, I don't have time right now. So you'll be smart about the way you apply for your GMAT waiver. But yes, it's possible. Having said that, I would say, like, take your GMAT. It gives you a much better chance of getting into a good college. Even the great colleges, sometimes they write on their website that we don't need a GMAT. But you will see that their average GMAT score is like 720. So maybe they take in candidates without a GMAT, but those will be very few. Yeah. So those are things that I like to see.
Sangeeta, we have a follow-up question, for this. But before that, guys, you can see a QR code on the screen. It will be really great if you guys can scan the code and fill the feedback form. That will be really helpful for us to come up with more such sessions. And the follow-up question that we have, Sangeeta, is also with the GMAT waiver, will they have equal chances of bagging a scholarship as any other applicant?
It's not unheard of. One of the two applicants has actually got a scholarship from two colleges. So scholarship is not, I mean, it's got nothing, I won't say it's got nothing to do with it, but the scholarship application goes through a different channel. So you can go ahead and apply for a scholarship even if you're going for a GMAT waiver.
The next question that we have is from Manisha. So Manisha, if you can, turn on your mic and ask the question, if that's possible.
Sure. Thanks, Sakshi. Hi, Pooja. Hi, Sangeeta. Thank you for conducting this session. I think I've made a lot of notes. It's been really helpful. Other than that, I wanted to ask congratulations on your scholarship as well, Pooja. I think, like Pooja, I also aim on being able to finance my MBA myself, which means that I also do not want to walk out of that degree with a lot of debt on my head. So the idea of a scholarship weighs heavily on my head because it's really important for me. So I was wondering, how does one go about the idea of securing a scholarship? I know this looks different with different countries, and then again looks different within each country with the kind of niche that you're looking at or the kind of course, etc., etc. That is one question. I had another one. If y'all would like, I could spell out both the questions and y'all could answer one after the other, or I can, yeah. The other question that I was looking at is if we're looking at more than one college, each of these application fees itself, especially if you're looking at the US or even Europe for that matter, each application costs somewhere between like $250 or $200 and up. Correct. I do also know that they do provide application fee waivers.
Waiver.
Yeah. So how does one go about them? Because when you're looking at financing it yourself, like all of these look daunting.
Yeah. Let me take this question first, and I would definitely leave the rest to Pooja because her journey has been fantastic. And we really appreciate your questions. Okay, I'm going to take the waiver thing first. So there is one of my applicants who applied for a fee waiver to 9 colleges, and she got a waiver for 8 of them. So just calculate $200 into 8. That's the kind of thing. But you have to do it. So how does this work? Most of the time, when you register for an online event from the college and you attend that event, there will be a question board, and you can ask the moderator, how do you apply for a fee waiver? And sometimes they actually give you a code which exempts you from the fee. The other way to do it, so the online forums really work, and you have to do it in advance so that you get that thing out of the way. Make sure that you and also, like, if you say that, okay, I'll apply to 5 colleges, right? So I'm willing to pay $1,000 towards application fee. Now you also apply to all these colleges plus more for a fee waiver just on an email as well. And anything that you get goes into another box. So if I get fee waiver for 1 more school, then I can apply to 6 schools instead of 5. So yes, both the forum and applying, just writing to them on email works. So the other part of it is how do you apply for a scholarship? And I think you have to tell your stories well, but I think I'll leave it to Pooja on how we went about doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, quickly on the application fee waiver part, attend the events that the colleges have, like admission events, ask the team events. Most of them will have an application waiver, but you have to make sure you are attending these events before round one or early application. They're not going to give you a waiver once R1 starts. Okay.
Yes.
So, this is way before your early action. Second thing that I did in those one-on-ones that I had with the admission teams, see, most of the colleges do have a one-on-one option. They give you the list of all members of admission team, and there's an option called connect with me, schedule an appointment with me. And honestly, I simply asked them, hey, I just wanted to check, can I get an application fee waiver? And a lot of them just gave it to me. They said that, okay, you know what, you have my contact. When you submit your application, drop us an email, we'll enable it from our end. There were some cases where people said that, you know what, given that you are applying so early, we would like to give you an application waiver. So 5 colleges I applied to, I only paid application fee for Dartmouth because they did not have a waiver. Rest all the colleges gave me an application fee waiver. Okay, so you have to be very proactive and reach out to those people. Coming on the scholarship part, like Sangeeta said, some colleges will have a question, will send you an email once you submit your application that we have these XYZ scholarships. If you want to apply for these scholarships, you have to fill in certain essays. Okay, that's one. The colleges that I applied to, like Texas, Rice, Hopkins, they did not ask me for a specific scholarship question, and I don't think I added the aspect of scholarship in my essays as well, right? But the way you are communicating your story, so a big part of my story was me as a woman doing all these things, or me as a woman who's coming from India. Sadly, we do live in a patriarchal society. Women do have, you know, when it comes to women asking for certain things or being in the system, be it their access to healthcare or access to certain things that they want to do in their career. Um, so that was kind of my story around it. So from Hopkins, I got a 40 fellowship, which was basically to support women in STEM and women in tech. Okay, so I'd say a lot of I think your chances of getting a scholarship depends on how early you are applying. You have to apply early for your to get a scholarship because colleges only have X number of funds allocated to scholarship. Okay. Second thing is your story. The third thing is, and this is very important, how much value can you add once you join the college? Okay. So I spoke about that these are the ongoing projects at Hopkins. I actually renegotiated my scholarship at Hopkins. Okay. So I went to them and said that, you know what, you have all these projects. You are doing these projects on AI. I have experience in AI. I can definitely leverage that experience, bring these skill sets to the table. At the same time, I can take certain insights from your projects. So you have to showcase what value you are providing to the institute once you are a part of that. Okay, I also spoke about the connections that I have in the industry, the kind of people I have worked in the industry, and how I can leverage those connections and bring their voice to Johns Hopkins overall environment. Okay, so yeah, I think these are the few things that I'll highlight: how compelling your story is, how much value you are adding, and most importantly, for scholarships, you have to apply as early as possible. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that sums up wonderfully for both of my questions. Just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Can take the next question from Ananta. So Ananta, if you can just unmute yourself.
What is that?
I think she's no more in the meeting. But we have Mukul who has raised his hand. So Mukul, if you can just ask your question.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sangeeta and Pooja, for taking out your time and going through all the questions very patiently and beautifully. I have 6 years of experience working in EdTech, education tech industry in India, and I'm targeting 1 year MBA programs across Europe and INSEAD, of course, my dream college. My question is right now I'm preparing for my GMAT, and I ideally it should have been Jan intake, but somehow I don't think so it's gonna be feasible now. The next intake, which is August 25, is what I'm targeting. Given that another 2.5, 3 months I'm going to take to crack, let's say 700 plus in focus edition right now. So what is the roadmap that I can get? What is the roadmap that you can suggest? Let's say having that August intake of NCR, or let's say Cambridge, Oxford, SAD, Judge, HEC, etc.
Okay. So I'll take this. If you're targeting 1 year MBA, first I'd like to ask, is this because of funding, or you have to take time off work? Can I ask that question?
Yes. One, of course, it's gonna take less time so that I can get back to work basically to earn pretty fast. That's one reason. And second is not inclined, let's say, to go to
US?
US, or let's say, yeah, not
Okay.
inclined to go to US. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I needed to have that clarity because that that tells us more about the college selection itself. Okay, so there are a bunch of
Right.
colleges that give you a 1 year MBA, including colleges in the US. And right now you haven't got your GMAT score as yet. I would
Yeah,
still say
that's correct.
start. You can simultaneously work on your applications and your GMAT. Don't try to do it serially because you want to target R1. Your bundle of colleges to choose from is, it's a small bundle of a 1 year MBA. So you will be restricted to colleges like HEC. I'm saying restricted, but they're great colleges, but you don't have
Yeah,
too much of a choice. And so I would strongly suggest that you target R1 for applications. Considering your GMAT, start preparing for it ASAP. Take a diagnostic to see where you stand, to see how much time you will take to prepare for the GMAT. And don't think in your head that, oh, it's going to be all right next time. Take diagnostic tests to have a realistic expectation of GMAT. That being said, you can work both simultaneously, but I would say, don't delay your applications for R1 in any case for all of these schools, and they're open to it. I saw another question on the chat, so I might as well answer that about the fee waiver for any of the non-US schools. Yeah, you can call. You can write to the admissions and ask for a waiver. Sometimes they give. You were specifically asking about the INSEAD and Judge. These have given Judge has also given scholarships, but acceptance rate is highest when you do R1. So that's what I would
got
say.
it. Got it. And what are the initial steps you would suggest? Let's say if I'm starting my anyways, GMAT is already started, diagnostic test, etc. is giving me okay-ish result. I'm sure like in next 15 to
What is
20 days
okay?
I should.
Is it above 600 or?
Yeah, so it's in the I took the GMAT actually 3 months back, so it was around 650 I got
Okay,
in
so
the
you're in a
classic
good place.
edition.
Yeah, if you're at 650, you're still in a good place to achieve a 720 or something like that. If you really work hard, you get into your, where are you making your mistakes? How can I improve on it? Be very specific about logging your answers, logging your mistakes, and seeing where you're going wrong. So I would say the first step is to be extremely careful about how you're going to improve your scores in GMAT. It doesn't happen by just taking tests and tests and tests. You have to know what is your thought pattern, where you're losing your focus, and targeting that part of it. Is it oh, I made a silly mistake, I'll do it better next time? You won't. So you'll have to see which methodology to use. So yes, I would say take your GMAT prep really seriously and log where you're making your mistakes. This is an important part of getting into good colleges like INSEAD and HEC. On the other hand, try to garner as much, try to browse as many particulars from all these websites, talk to the counselors, talk to alums, and see how your story fits into theirs. I was somewhere during this talk, we were talking about what is it that I want from my MBA. Start working on that question, and start getting your processes together. In MBA and beyond, once you register, we have something called the content gathering, which really is such a helpful tool in to record your strengths, weaknesses, and you'll have a consultant to tell you like how should you add data, which are the nice stories um, uh, to showcase. How can you Pooja also mentioned, how can you use this story for that application and this story, this data or this incident for that application. So all of that can happen side by side. So I would say the first 2 months, you should definitely do your GMAT, but start doing your content gathering, have your stories in place, and by which time you should be also downloading applications, starting applying. I don't think you should do it serially. That is my um, advice for going forward.
Thanks a lot. This gives me a lot of clarity. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We have the next question. I think Nandita wasn't able to mute. I'll just take the question, which is, with the ongoing recession all over the globe and countries restricting the number of immigrants slash students, do you think it is going to affect the chances of getting jobs post MBA in the upcoming years? This is for both US and the Europe market.
I mean, Pooja can take it, but I can also tell you that by the time you finish, it's going to be 3 years from now. Okay? Or if you're taking a 1-year MBA, it's 2 years from now. Things will change. Okay? And if you're good, you will get in. So I've seen students who have focused right from day one on getting a job. So they make contacts, they go and work in companies, they make projects with companies, they network like crazy. So if you need to get a job, it doesn't depend on the economy, it depends on you. How much effort you put. You can always go to the university desk that will help you connect to organizations, to industries. They're very, very helpful. Alums are also helpful. Your neighbors will be helpful. Your seniors will be helpful. Everybody, once you ask, but you need to make the effort of making the connections and you will get a job, no matter what the economy says. I believe that. And I've seen it happen, so I'm just saying it.
Yeah, and very thoughtfully put. See, to this I'll say, given the things which are happening in the world right now, yes, we all have our doubts, okay, but always look at the bigger picture. Like, you're not doing your MBA in the US so that 2 years down the line you have a job in the US. Like, what's your long-term goal? What you want to do? That's first. Second, yes, I also had similar doubts when I started off. You have so much content, so much information coming from every source. You have so much stories, people getting stuck with H1B and all these other things. I'd say that at this moment, like, if I have to sit here and forecast what's going to happen 5 years down the line, I don't think I can do that. The way I approached it was okay, 2 years is my MBA. My MBA is in STEM MBA, so I get 3 years after my MBA. These are the only factors I can control. The other factors, the economic factor, the visa factors, they are not in my control, right? And I think the other thing is, goes back to the very first discussion we had. What's your objective behind the MBA, right? If you really want to upskill yourself, you see a gap, that's the reason you are investing so much time and energy in an MBA program, right? So and yes, like, I think the other thing that you can do is you can talk to a lot of students who are currently enrolled in the program. That's what I did. I wanted to get some ground reality, like check on what's happening on the ground over there. So I spoke to a lot of people at Hopkins. Also, people shared some very positive experiences on they getting very good internships, how the previous batch got placed, what were the numbers for international students, domestic students. So I think have a chat with people who are already enrolled. I mean, these are factors which can guide you with your decision. They obviously can't give you a conclusive answer in terms of yes or no. Of course, there's a risk is associated with whatever you'll do in your life. Yeah, but I think, yeah, just focus on things you can control. Things you can't control, you'll have to see how things pan out with time. That's what I'd say.
And do the footwork. You have to do the footwork. Yeah. I'm sure Pooja is going to find a job, like, before she finishes her. She's that go-getter. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yes, we can take the last question for the day, which is from Abhishek. So, Abhishek, if you can just unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone, and thank you for like organizing this amazing session. So I have a question related to my profile. So I recently gave GMAT, like on last day of the classic edition. I
Yeah.
got a score of 630. So like bit about my profile. So I have around like 10 plus years of experience, and right now I'm working as like global marketing manager in like industrial company, and there like I am more involved towards budgeting, like P&L and all sorts of strategy. And I also have experience with like on site, like working directly with CEOs and then CXO leadership as well. So like just want to check, like I'm mainly looking for 1 year MBA. So I'm fine with both like in the US and Europe, because like my company has like offices in both locations. And like after MBA, I'm mostly like going to my own company itself. So just want to check about like do what do you recommend for my profile? Do I reappear GMAT again, and or should I start an application?
Okay. So I would say take the GMAT again. You're at 630 and you would get to really good colleges if you hit a 700 at least. You spoke, I would definitely say that that would be your strength along with your 10-year work ex. If you don't want to take your GMAT, then you're left with only your 10-year work ex, and they will ask why the GMAT score is like this. Or if you want a GMAT waiver, then you apply for a different set of schools. But with a 10-year work ex and a good GMAT score, you can apply to excellent colleges, and you have time. You have also, you have a company to come back to for a short-term goal, and you're also thinking of starting your own business, or continuing your own business later on. So, your fallback option is good. So what you're looking at, if I can read it right, is to go not so much the knowledge that the MBA gives you, but the networking and the kind of people that you would get to know and connect with, which is going to help you with your job or your agency or the company that you're planning to recommend. And that comes with great alums. Okay. So and depending on your the company that you work with, you said marketing. So if your long-term goal is also in that area, then I would strongly suggest choose colleges that concentrate on the marketing side of things. But I would say like give the GMAT another chance, another shot, in the new version, of course. But take it and then take a call on what to do next.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, a follow-up question, Abhishek. Would your company sponsor you for your MBA?
No. So they don't like sponsor everything, but like but in that case, I have to go for part-time MBA, not the full-time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
that's an option then. If they're giving you a part-time, if they can sponsor a part-time MBA, then that's a great option as well. And if they're doing that, why don't you get a good GMAT score and you can go to the best colleges and they can sponsor a part-time MBA program.
No, so actually, like, they already have tie-up with like, Indiana and Alliance Business School. So which you can get from if you work with
Only for
MBA.
those schools. Okay.
Yeah, only for those schools. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they have
For that,
some.
you don't even need I mean, like if you want to go to those schools, you can do it today. But if you want to go to better schools, then you take the GMAT again, get a good score, then you apply to those other schools. With your 10-year work ex, you will, I mean, your stories will be fabulous.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
One thing that I'll add, which was very helpful for me to everybody who's on the call is, and Sakshi, feel free to correct me. There is a feature called profile evaluation before you enroll with MBA and beyond. And I have, like, like I said, I spoke to a lot many different consultants before getting on board with MBA and beyond, and the in-depth profile evaluation that they gave me was super helpful for me to make that decision. I was not able to see that seriousness, that in-depth review of your early profile evaluation from other consultants. So if you are in that stage, I'd say use that option, Sakshi, right? Like get your profile evaluated, engage with somebody from the ME and beyond team, and have a dialogue with them, like an open conversation. They are very genuine, very honest about it. Like no BS. They will tell you that, this is what we think is good, this is what we can target. So I think that's a very good option people should leverage.
No, definitely. I think that also brings us to the end of the session. So guys, if we have left your questions or if there are more questions that you want to ask and have a deeper discussion, after this call, you'll receive an email from me, which also will include the link for the profile evaluation session, and you can just go there and book the session with the profile evaluator, and they will definitely have a deeper discussion about your profile on the call. So Abhishek, I hope we have answered the question. And then thank you so much, Sangeeta and Pooja, for joining in the session. I'm sure everyone found it extremely insightful. Thank you so much. I think we should continue having sessions.
Absolutely. It was super, super interesting to talk to you all and really to be able to relate that everybody is going through that journey. So I think you guys are in the right direction. And yeah, good luck. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, connect with MBA and beyond, connect with Sakshi for your first step forward. Good luck with everything and see you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you,
Have a
everybody.
great night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.